What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the King's Court. Today's video topic actually comes from a request I got on Twitter, and it is, what are the checks and balances on the judicial branch of their not showing a neutral stance? I try to follow what's going on, and nothing makes sense. I live in Washington State and never seen so many judges block executive orders for any other sitting president than I have with the current president. And that's true. You never have. But it is skewed a little bit. Okay, so let me kind of break this down first. So the very first thing I want to break down is I want to look at the last four presidents in their first 100 days. We just passed Donald Trump's first 100 days. I think we're at about day 108 or something like that. So Donald Trump, in his first 100 days of this term, has issued 142 executive orders. That is more than any other president in their first 100 days. Joe Biden issued 42. Donald J. Trump in his first term issued 33, and Barack Obama in his first 100 days in 2009 issued 19. So the data is already heavily skewed for Donald Trump in his second term. Now, in the case of judges issuing TROs or injunctions, I do want to kind of, let's say, inform on what that means. So a TRO is a temporary restraining order, and it lasts 14 days. So one thing that is important to remember is that the courts are not an originating body. And what that means is nothing that comes out of a courthouse, the courthouse decided. So when a judge issues one of these TROs or an injunction, when the Supreme Court rules on something, it means somebody else has brought that issue to the court. So what we all need to remember, and this is the very slight thing to remember about these judges, is they are not just deciding, hey, I don't want this to happen. Someone has sued and brought this case before the judge. In many cases, TROs and injunctions are set up or given so that there is still a case to be done down the road when their docket gets clear and they can do the case. So, for instance, let's say Trump signs an executive order to ban all production of windmills. Okay, no more windmills in the United States. He signs the executive order. So windmill manufacturer goes before their federal court and they ask for a TRO or an injunction preventing this from happening. The judge then likely issues a TRO immediately, stops the ban, and gives them 14 days for the federal government to reply. The federal government then has that 14 days to basically say, okay, no, this is the constitutionality of it. This is why we're doing it. This is why you have to let us go forward. And then the party that brought the suit, they reply, and then the judge decides whether or not a TRO needs to be extended or an injunction filed, or if there's still merit for the case to be had. So a lot of these, and I asked Rock to do the math for me because I was not going to spend the time going through every single one of these executive orders. So Grok says that of the 142 executive orders, there have been 123 decisions halting these executive orders. Again, let's remember that those decisions are either TROs or they're injunctions. They're not final decisions. We already know that the Supreme Court has actually ruled on a couple of these already, and I think the Supreme Court has basically sided with the government like 3 out of the 4 times that they've gotten the cases already. So it breaks down to about 40 to 50 TROs have been issued, and then about 70 to 80 preliminary injunctions. preliminary injunctions are often nationwide, and these are the ones that we're probably hearing the most about. And part of the reason is because if the order goes through, then then the people that might have a case right now, they won't have a case in 3 months. So the injunction needs to be filed, and it needs to halt what's going on so that there is a case when the docket clears up. It's not always malfeasance. Sometimes it is legitimate rulings, but I will agree that the fact that some of the judges always seem to be on the docket for these cases is suspicious at its highest point. There are only so many judges and attorneys and clients that practice in this sort of lawfare litigation type stuff. They know what courts to go to. They know what judges they want to see. So they time these things so that that judge is up. Is it right? No. But it is one of the ways the system works. Now, one thing I will say is we know that several of these judges are actually huge proponents of the Democratic Party. A lot of them give money to Act Blue. The one that was involved in the I forget his name. The one when you picture that judge, we can all picture his name. He's the one that gave millions of dollars to Act Blue. I believe his daughter helps like the Clintons or something like that. The problem is there's so many of these stories that it's hard to remember who is who and whose daughter did this or whose son did this, because it's all like shady mafia type style criminal enterprise. It's ridiculous. But what I do kind of want to break down TROs versus injunctions. So TROs, they're usually issued very quickly. They're usually ex parte. And what that means is only one side in that, A, V, B, only one side is usually there for that. And it's basically them just saying, hey, we need this stopped really quickly so that everyone can get together and talk about whether or not this is okay. It's a lot of the TROs are in the deportation cases and in the budget cut cases. So there's a lot of TROs dealing with Doge and things like that. And that's just so that they can decide whether or not Doge has the constitutionality to do some of the things that they want to do. There are legitimate questions in some of these cases, but I do think that the courts are being way too heavy-handed with these TROs and these injunctions. Sometimes you need to just tell plaintiffs no. And it feels like what's going on here is not necessarily lawfare versus the specific person, like we saw with Donald Trump in basically from 2020 through the election. But it feels like it's almost attempted survival by the Democratic Party and their cronies to just prevent this complete cleaning of house that Trump and the administration is trying to do. So I don't want to keep these too long. If y'all have if any questions come out of this video, please put them in the comments. I'll try to react to them either in their own video or maybe on our live stream this Thursday night. Wednesday's video has to do with sort of trials in general. I'm really excited for it. I hope y'all enjoy it. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below with your thoughts. And come over to Twitter and follow me here at KingsAdvisors_. Peace out, guys.